Hi everybody, Mark Cleghorn here for the Photographer Academy, and again we're live, and today we're giving you a little bit of a sneak into a new series that we're doing on the Academy for food photography, and we just thought we'd kind of cover as much as we could in this live session. We're going to shoot from scratch, we're going to shoot live as it were, basically donuts for me to actually finish off with later on, of course. And basically we're going to try and create some kind of simple images for you to kind of follow, or give you some ideas on how you can work with in the future. Let's just talk quickly about the setup. You probably haven't seen this much before. This is the kind of the boom arm that I use on a studio stand or on a tripod. It allows me to get vertically right from above, of course, and things really. So again, it saves me having to actually be handheld. If you've been following some of the films that I've been shooting in restaurants for Michelin star chefs and so on, then you'll basically know that when I'm doing the lay flat, which is the overhead images, usually used for kind of advertising, double page spreads, used a lot in fact in vlogging and blogging nowadays, and really good for step-by-step recipes as well and things. So that's where we're going to start off with, and that's why we're using the kind of the boom arm. We've just got the 5D Mark III just on top. I wish it did have a flippy screen, but it doesn't. It's not the end of the world, but obviously if you're working at much higher, you'd obviously use the flippy screen so you could see what you're doing and things. We're going to try and give you live view today. The one thing to notice though during our live view is basically whatever you are seeing is not what the photograph is going to be, because obviously we're going to be using flash as our kind of light source. Okay, what else are we doing? So the camera, using Elinchrom ELC flash. We've got a Photix 105, I believe it is, circle, actually as our softbox, and that's 2 layers of diffusion. We've got it quite high up and we're allowing the light to feather, but perhaps we'll put the grids on if we get a chance to actually show you the different kind of moods. The main thing for me is when I'm in commercial photography that I'm tethering to a laptop. So basically any chef or any stylist are going to be looking over it here rather than actually trying to look through my camera or look on the back of the camera and so on. And so we use tether cables. This is the Tether tools. I've been a massive fan of Tether tools for a very, very long time. A couple of little things really. They never let you down. They're solid cables. I can extend them with a shuttle bus and things really. If I get a chance, I'll talk about that later on. The main thing is this little jerk stopper, which is basically one end of it is connected onto the cable, the other is connected onto the camera strap port, and basically that stops any real damage going on as far as wiggling. The only other cable that we've got coming out, in fact, is the live view for you guys to be able to see. Should we just check that, Brandon? Should we? Let's just click on the live view. I basically don't get to see anything. So when you go into live view on the back of the camera and you've tethered off, in other words, you're using a HDMI cable away, you are basically seeing it still set on the exposure that the camera is going to work on. And again, so the color balance is all off and everything else with it, but at least you're going to be able to see when I start to move the design around. They have put it onto a television for me, so at least when I start to move things around, I can actually at least see what I'm doing. Right, so it's coming on the cable then. When we take the photograph, we'll come off live view, we'll just take a quick snap. Even though they're still in their box, we'll get them out in a minute. And basically straight away it comes over into capture 1. And you can see we haven't done any testing before we get live. That is my hand at the top, just to focus in. I'm not sure if that's fully live, Brandon, that they can see that. So there's the first shot where we were kind of just checking that the flash fired. Second shot was to focus on my hand, just put the pink in place. The next one was the live view. Remember what I was saying to you? If live view's in place, when you take the photograph, the hot shoe becomes a cold shoe and doesn't fire the flash. Then we've got the next image down, which is basically just to check that the flash fires, and that's the image we just did. All right, so that's the kind of the technical part. I don't think there's anything else. I'm shooting to a drive here, so it means that I can unplug straight away and go straight to the main PC downstairs in the office, and I can get on with that. Backgrounds. As far as food photography, especially when you're doing lay flats, the background is going to be probably the most important thing you're going to kind of get together. In fact, we've done a whole film just on choosing backgrounds and where you get them from and so on. These are just simple card. that you can buy basically online, or you can get them from an arts and crafts shop anyway with it. So without delay, let's kind of just set up a quick shot, shall we? So because Brandon has taken all that time, I promised him he can have a donut at the end. I did wash my hands beforehand as well, so I was a good boy. But I've gone into the live view, so I can technically see where these are going to go. Now, as far as the donut, there's a lot of grease involved here, so it means that this is going to be a throwaway card. I try and use more of the likes of a wipeable card. Let me just bring in my cloth that I left out on the side. So just so I can keep my hands clean. So as far as the basic shot is concerned, let me come off live view for a minute and have a little look through, because I do want to kind of get you this shot. Let's go diagonal, and I don't mind kind of losing the corner of the donut on each end. Just a bit of an interesting kind of look and feel. Yep, so let's just take a quick shot. So there's our image. Metering is basically towards the light source, yeah? So as far as the Seconic is concerned, I'm metering from the product towards it. In fact, there's slightly cooking there as far as the exposure is concerned, so it's up to f5. So that is the correct working exposure. I'm not sure how it looks on your screens. I think they should actually come together and pretty much almost touch. It is a bit frustrating, of course, if they do leave their kind of grease marks behind. That's why I want to kind of keep them all kind of quite tight for now. But really, because we're just using the one light, we're going to have some deep shadows that you can see coming down this one end. The first thing I do is kind of, we use old pieces of card. This is foam, the foam core, and just with a kind of a normal clamp that we have around the studio anyway. And let's just kind of get that in shot without being in shot, as it were. So there's our kind of quick image. Take the shot again. So that is designed just to lift the shadow area just a little bit. Detail in the shadow, it really does depend on the style of the photograph. I've used the kind of the pink card with the pink donuts because obviously all the kind of the symmetry together. I think turning that one across the horizontal is pretty good, and putting that back to the same squiggly lines as the others. But really what we just did is we picked up the information. Let me go in live view for a minute. Yeah, and basically what this is in here, I've just picked up in this shadow. Brandon, is that showing the live view? Just through here, in fact, is where we're lifting the shadow. All right, and that is really what this piece of card is doing. If I want to add extra kick to one donut or more, I can use the likes of a silver aluminium foil, as you can see it kind of beginning to shape. Switch off live view for a minute. Let's go back to the image and just take a shot. Notice how the aluminium foil, though, it also will add a slight kind of lightness to the actual card as well, because it is kind of picking up some of the information through here. I think that's quite a nice shot to begin with. Let's do another one. Let's minimize where we're going to grease up, as it were, and just kind of put all four of them together. Again, the great thing is if we had to, we can just replace it for another piece of pink card. We've got several of the same color. Yep, that's pretty good. Let's bring a little bit of sparkle down this end, specifically to that one. Just add a little bit of lighting in there. So just kind of getting out of the way of this light is key. Notice I'm using quite a feather of the light as well. It's quite high. It's reflecting all the way down. If I angle the light, it would increase the shadow a little bit more. If I had it over the head, of course, it would pretty much flatten things out. So it really depends on the kind of look and the feel that you want. The contrasting color, I think if we stick this on a shocking red, in fact, we used this earlier on today for the likes of some muffins that the guys downstairs in the office have finished off now, I can guarantee you. So let me just push that into place. So you can see straight away, let's bring that light in very, very close to that one. Yep, that's pretty cool. And then we'll take the same shot. Look at the difference now when we use that kind of real kind of kick-ass colour. it's lost its kind of dynamic. I think the last image was a lot classier. By using a similar colour palette, I don't think, in fact, it's really doing anything for the actual image. It's just kind of looking a bit flat. If we kind of take away these reflectors, well, obviously the first thing we're going to see is less kind of fill in. So that's going to give us a little bit more dynamic. But I think the image as is, it's not interesting anymore. So if I want to make it interesting, let's just swap to the 100mm macro. I can do this live on the camera without switching things off. Pop my back cap on. And then what I want to do is kind of raise these up just a little bit. So if we just kind of do the 2 and then here. Let's focus in on that. Let's see the shot first of all. Yeah, so it's different without a doubt. If I just add that little bit of kick onto the top, so just that shot, leaning it down as well, just to kind of kick that little bit of colour just within the image. You can see how that flattens it out. Oop, it just moved. We'd usually, in fact, use wooden skewers to kind of pierce things, so they're going to kind of stay in place. Let's just kind of lift this on the side instead of just coming on the top. Yeah, that's okay. The only real thing really is the hole in the donut is a little bit black. So whether we want to put a little piece of card underneath it so that at least it would kind of show something off. Have I got anything? No, we can just rip off a piece of card. And let's just cheat, so let's stick that underneath. You can see why we'd say that we'd use the skewers. That's going to fall off any minute, I can guarantee you. Will that help us? Yeah, it's got a little bit of the whiteness. We can brighten that up a little bit more, but of course we can kind of start to move the foil around the place to actually kind of change the image without any real trouble. So we've kind of looked at the overhead. Let's just quickly put the grids on, shall we? So let's kind of just pop on the egg crates just to see what kind of image it's going to give us. Straight away, if I photograph it in exactly the same way as we are, it's going to be way underexposed, if exposed at all, because what an egg crate won't do is allow the light to feather. Okay, let's just take the shot anyway so we can see just by adding that on if there is any light kind of coming through it. And you can see, as expected, way underexposed. Let's meter it and kind of get to a working exposure again. So I'm just switching on my Sekonic. The Sekonic that I have basically links and fires the light. So that's running at 2.8 in fact. So if I did turn the aperture down to 2.8, which I can with this lens, we should be pretty much back into a working exposure straight away. We can work with that. And you can see now how drastically the focus has dropped. I think we need to work at around about f4, 5, 6. I'm just going to go to 5, 6. So because that was 2.8, I need to up the power on this light by 2 stops. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here's the noise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 20 tenths of stop, so that is two stops. I've increased the aperture to 5, 6, doing the same shot, basically kind of creating our image straight away. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's just add in just a little bit of reflectancy to it. Let's build a little bit of a light box around it. Let's just check it's not going to be in shot. Do you want what I'll do? Let's use a foil. And let's do that shot. So that's going to just lighten up the dark side of the photograph, as we can see there. I just kind of brought it alive and added no extra image in. And let's just direct the light towards the product. So that has increased it quite dramatically, I expect. Yeah, that's F8 now. So let's take the tenths down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was down in power compared to before where we put it up in power. Let's take our photograph and just see what it's doing. So again, it's more directional. It should create a little bit more shadow, but it's kind of got a lot more energy of the photograph. So I think that's not a bad little kind of lay flat kind of image. In the same way, of course, we could go straight into the kind of the creative shot of multiple donut in the same way. And you could kind of turn them up on their side. You could create a little bit of a kind of a montage with them. It's really down to what you want or what the stylists want anyway. Let's just push that card in. So as I said, I don't mind the edges of the kind of the box or the frame kind of going out of shot. I think it brings a little bit more dynamic. Cool. So while that's there, we may as well swap back to our 50 before we kind of change dramatically, and then just see what it's going to be like straight away. We should add in that extra little bit of bounce, just a touch on that card. And if we wanted to add in a little bit onto one donut, we can basically just point that in across here. Okay, so again, as far as you can just see that highlight come on that white paper, on the red paper just through there, just kind of picking it up a little bit more. For me though, it's just too flat and I'd really need to add a little bit more kind of dynamic. If I do want to go to that extent, what have I got? Oh, do you know what? Straight away though, the inner of that box is going to be absolutely amazing. Sorry, got distracted there. Straight away. This is from the set of curtains my wife bought a couple of weekends ago. I think that green is absolutely wicked. And against the pink, I think it's fab. Let me just change the focus point. Okay, it's cool. I hate 4 because it basically, yeah, I like that a lot. And I think we could just kind of drop the position down on the camera just a little bit. There we go. Just to fill up the frame just a touch more. If there's something like a box that I really like, I wouldn't be afraid to actually kind of cut off the sides to kind of allow this to pop down so there's less of a shadow. Can you see it? So I can move those up towards there anyway. There's no greasing going on. Push towards here. I'll just add that little bit of kick with the light. Yeah, do you know what? That's a lot more. I like that a lot more anyway, but I kind of quite like the box. I wonder what it'd be like, in fact, if against the red, if we now position the donuts in the edge. So I kind of quite like the red, the green. Let's bring some of the detail around as well of the red. I think we'll bring that over the top in a minute to get another shot. Let's just choose my focus point again. So again, what am I looking for? The main thing is the control of the depth of field. As is, because it's a lay flat, basically I don't need to worry about it too much. There we go, it's pretty good. Oh, I like that a lot. Don't like it with my cable in, of course. That's my kind of trigger cable that we're seeing. I do like the reflection that this foil has made on this here. I think that works pretty good. I think if I want to, I can just lower this down a little bit more, just to make it look like it's slightly fuller in the box, and there's almost kind of more in there. Just turn that. That's pretty good. Let's do it again. Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think the contrasting colour is much more interesting. Obviously, different clients are going to say, no, we want to be able to do this, this, and this, please. And then obviously you're being controlled by their creative brief rather than what you can physically be doing. But when you're getting going for the first time in kind of food photography, what you want to be able to do is just playing around and just kind of just investing little into it. So it'd be great if you've got the likes of the tethering capabilities going to a laptop. Tether tools also do a device that you can shoot straight to an iPad with as well. So that's a kind of a nice little kind of trick to be doing. And you can shoot and control it from there as well. But as far as the kind of the food photography is concerned, even though we're doing the lay flat here, we could obviously drastically change the look and the feel to this image without a huge amount of work. What do I mean by that? Let's just separate it. I think we're okay for time. Let's just turn the red just around here. Let's bring our donuts back in again. Oh, it's a trouble being a food photographer, you know. Just you can never get fed up of sugar. Let's do my favourite lighting, in fact, which is backlight. Yeah. Let me just quickly turn around my laptop so I can see it. And then all I'm going to do is just ease back on these cables here. Okay, I'm going to swap around. So let me just do that one. Just here. We all get used to our own tripods and studio stands in a different way. Pretty good. Let me just get a little bit lower. And we'll just have that 150 lens at hand. Let's go and have a look first of all. So, yeah, let's get the, sorry, not the 150 lens, I meant the 100mm macro. Let me just move all my cables here. Sorry, Brandon, we didn't expect to do this shot, did we? Sorry. Let me just come down a little bit lower. Just on the stand. There you go. Focusing in on here. Let's do a quick shot. Not metered or anything else. Obviously, there's no light on the front, but let's have a little look at that one. So you can see straight away our kind of light is there, but it's a little bit too high as far as the angle of the light. I'd like it down a little bit lower. But if we just pop in the likes of that foil there and the white card run into here, let's meter upwards. So I don't need the reflectors in place to get the exposure. If you can't see, basically I'm just going to meter towards there. So that is giving me 11. And what we're obviously going to do is look at the working exposure. So let me just tilt that down. Let's have a look at our image. Come down a little bit lower, I think. There we go. Got myself a little bit of flickers and twist on it. Hang on a second. That's a stage expression. No? Twist. Let's show the age. There we go. And Brandon, what if you can just kind of pull these cables for me a minute, mate? Just with your live view cable. Just actually pull that back for me, thank you. Just needing to come in there and come through. Perfect, thank you, mate. Right, let's lock that off. Tilting down. Let's just move that back out of shot. Back on the control. So the backlight, the great thing about backlight, it pretty much allows you to get this lovely kind of soft feeling of what is kind of going on. So in other words, if we just kind of pop the something in the background, whatever that would be, it's not quite in shot there anyway. Let's pop the other box of donuts just in the background. I think we'll just open it up and we'll just rip that open. And let's just put it here to kind of burn things out. Again, if I'd been prepared to do this shot, I would have used a slightly lower lighting. Let's push that back more. Let's pull these over towards here. Push that over there more again. Back into the focus. But as I said, the backlight for me is absolutely my preferred look and feel. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's we weren't prepared to do that shot, but I think that's a nice kind of little energy. If I wanted to lose some of the kind of flair here, bring a little bit more mood in, if I just use a piece of card. Brandon, could you come and hold that from that side for me? Just around about there. Brilliant. Let's do this. Lower it down, mate. Great. Hang on a second. Brilliant. Change it around. What colour is on the back of it?
Got blue.
Oh, that's okay. Let's do that, yeah. Keep it. Yeah, nice. Like that a lot. Do you want to kick across to the photograph? Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, it's pretty good. As I said, you know, as far as the kind of the getting going in food photography is concerned, the main thing would be is think about the position and the light, yeah? As I just shot here, the kind of the backlight, in the same way, if I want to change the look and the mood, obviously it's just a camera repositioning. It's hard, obviously, kind of in here while we're kind of doing everything. But we could actually move that light over to that side, this light could come over to here, and then straight away, instead of a 12 o'clock light like we've got running now, we could have a 3 o'clock light running or a 9 o'clock light running to obviously kind of throw across a different kind of light. But remember, from the camera position, which we always call the 6 o'clock, as soon as the light is from the 9 o'clock around in a clockwise direction to the 3 o'clock, you're always going to get the more dramatic, the more kind of dynamic images. And if you think about it, what we just set up there is technically the same as photographing against a window light. So that'll give you a great kind of starting point to begin with. Hope you've enjoyed this Academy Live, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.